Well, hello there, everyone. Hopefully you're doing I don't know, super sexy today. It's Saturday, right? What's another saying for Saturday? I can't remember. Anyway, it's Saturday. It's your weekend. It's your weekend for everybody, unless you work shift work or work on the weekends. But anyway, it's still Saturday. Anyway, I want to talk about the one thing that all of us can change. The one thing that every single person can change. Okay? What is that? But before I get started, please like my videos. Please feel free to comment. Please subscribe. Please share the content. Please tell other people about it. Okay? I need some help in growing this channel to get the message out that we can all become successful investors. Every single person can become a successful investor if they want to. So with that being said, I am Mazske Finance. I'm not a CPA, I'm not an attorney, and I'm not a financial advisor. So what is the one thing that all of us can change about ourselves? Okay? We can't change your eye color. I was born with blue eyes. They might have been kind of gray when I was a baby, but they became blue. Okay? I was born and grew to become a certain height. Once we get to that height, we can't just make ourselves taller, or if we're tall, we can't make ourselves shorter. I mean, sometimes in nature, tall people do get shorter as the years go on, and some people grow into their 18, 19, 20 years old and get bigger and bigger, but you know what I'm saying. But what's the one thing that we can change? We can change what's up here. We can change how we think. We can change our mindset. The reason I'm making this video is I had a buddy of mine yesterday. I correspond with a lot of people. And someone told me yesterday that they wish they had my mindset. Okay? I didn't elaborate with them. I did tell this person that I was going to make a video on that topic today. And the reason I want to make this video is that our mindset is the one thing that we can all change. We can. Okay? We can. We can't always, if we're naturally skinny, we can't always make ourselves super big and bulky. I was able to, at one point in time, bench press more than my body weight. I could squat more than my body weight. But if you looked at my arms, sure, they'd be muscular, but they were still skinny. I would eat like a elephant, and I would not get bigger. Okay? That's just how I am genetically. I can't change my genetics, right? But we can change our mindset. It's like a muscle. You can exercise it. You can exercise your mind. I truly believe that by reading, better than listening, better than watching YouTube, I think reading can help exercise your mind in a way to help develop the ability to have that better mindset. Because you got to sometimes shift your mind to become a successful investor. And I would read stuff like this years ago. And it'd say, you got to think it to do it. And I might say, okay. I was like 15 years old maybe when I read some stuff. And I think, well, I want to be rich. Okay? Nothing's happening. You can't just think it. But you got to have a shift. It's hard for me to explain. You got to have a shift in your way of thinking to realize you can. Okay, you got your end goal. And we won't use the word rich. We'll use the word wealthy. You want to become wealthy. Okay, so don't just wish it. Don't just want it. Ask yourself, how can I become wealthy? How? Sit down and develop a plan. It's easy to do. Take a piece of paper. Okay, I got a pad of paper. Pad of paper. Sit down. Write down where you're at right now in life. We're all different. We're all in different places, right? We're all in different places financially. We all have different families. We're all in different locations, different countries, different states, etc., etc., etc. Put down where you are right now. My way of doing it is I put down where I want to be. And I'm going to give you an example of what I did. I put down where I was started. I put down where I want to be. This was in April of 2020. I wrote down on a piece of paper. I still got it somewhere. It wasn't a small pad, it was a big pad. It took me 2 pages, okay? I wrote down at the top what I had financially. I had a paid off house in the state of Virginia. I had X number of dollars in the stock market, in my IRA accounts, and this and that. I had X number of rental properties with X number of dollars in positive cash flow. And I said, I want to live in South Florida. I knew about what houses cost in South Florida back then. I knew for what I wanted, a Gulf access canal that I could take a boat out to the ocean with a swimming pool and a nice house back then would cost me roughly $450,000. Okay? I knew my house in Virginia might sell, I was thinking for 225-ish. There's a gap in there. I had to figure out how I could close that gap to get that money to be not just to be able to afford to buy the house, but to be financially independent and live off my investments with that house. Okay? By writing it down, I figured it out. I had to figure it out up here. It was a mindset. Same thing, I'm going to give you more examples of how I've done things, okay? When I was 19 years old, probably when I was 18 years old, I realized I was stuck. I grew up in the state of Maryland. I was working landscaping. I was dirty. I didn't shave half the time. I was literally dirty because I worked in the mud. I worked landscaping. I was out one day, had my shovel, leaning on it. I wore contacts back then. I had longer hair too. Leaning on my shovel, just to breathe a little bit. My back hurt me a little bit. I stretched out. I stood up. I was looking around, stretching, and it hit me then. There were like 3 or 4 guys working with me. One guy was from the Middle East, some country, I forget, Pakistan, I think it was. He was like in his 40s. He was the old guy. There was another guy who was in college, but he was a supervisor, and he was probably 25-ish. There was another guy that was just old and dirty, I don't know, maybe in his 30s or something. And it hit me standing there leaning on my shovel that it's like, I can't do this work the rest of my life. And my back is hurting me when I'm 18 years old. I got to do something different. But then I was like, but what? But what? I tried to go to college back then when I was working landscaping. I started going to community college. I'd work all day. I'd go to class at nighttime. 2 different community colleges, 2 different classes. I forget what those classes were, and I forget what grades I got in them. But I did that. It was hard. I went into class sometimes. It was nighttime. I went into class sometimes. I was dirty. You know, boots, jeans, dirt. Just how it was. I probably stunk. I was probably sweating all day. So I was trying to do something. But it was like, it was hard. And I just realized that one day, standing in the mud, I can't do this forever. What am I going to do? I looked at my options. I actually applied for a job with the county where I was living at, like a state job or a county job. But then I was looking at the military, and I decided to go into the Navy. When I went into the Navy, I knew I was making the biggest change in my life. I lived in the same house I'd been raised in. I knew if I went, I would leave that state. I would go probably out to sea somewhere in the ocean, and my life would change. Okay? So I had that mindset to be willing to do that. A lot of people aren't willing to do that. I'm going to have someone on my channel later today, and I'm going to ask them this question. They just made a move of roughly 3,000 miles across the country. And when they made the move, they bought a duplex. They moved into a house hack. They're living in one side, fixing it up, and going to rent the other side, or it's already rented. I want to find out what their mindset was. Why did they pack up and move 3,000 miles? Why can some people take the steps that are necessary to start the process to become wealthy, where other people can't even make the first investment? Or other people are stuck paying a home mortgage in a big house that they don't need, but they can't pull the trigger to sell it to move to a duplex or a triplex. Why? Why? It's up here. It's up here. Okay? It's all up there. If you look in the mirror, don't look at me, look in the mirror at yourself. I can't hold your hand to make you do this or help you to do this. I can support you. I support you. You're on my channel watching. You support me. I support you. But we got to take our own minds, develop a plan of how we can improve our lives. If we're stuck in a job and we're just turning our wheels, okay, you got to keep going, but you got to figure it out for yourself. What steps you can take. I've mentioned I might sell this beautiful house I have and move outside of the United States. Why? so I can better my life still, better it in a better way. My video looks a little choppy to me, like something's going on here with my internet, I think. So anyway, what can you do with your life? Do you need to take a new job? Do you need, if you own a single family home, do you need to sell it to move into that duplex or that triplex or that quadplex to get a normal traditional 30-year fixed rate mortgage and have your tenants pay that mortgage for you, and now you reduced your largest expense, which is your housing cost? Is that something you can do? Do you drive a nice vehicle? Could you sell that vehicle and buy a 1992 Geo Prism, something like that? I dare say I think someone's been on my channel that drives a 1992 Geo Prism or something like that. Okay? I drive a car. I had a neighbor the other day ask me about my car. I told him what year it was. It's a 2009. They made the comment about, wow, that's old. You know, and it's still running. Yeah, it still runs. It still runs pretty good. And they said, they made the comment, but maybe you need to get a newer car soon. Why? Why? It still gets me from point A to point B, right? And if I do leave the country, I'm selling. I'm selling both our cars to leave the country. I'm buying something there. I can buy them cheaper there than I can buy them here. So anyway, it's all about our own minds. No one can do this for you, all right? You can start by taking that piece of paper, write down where you are right now, write down where you want to be, and then you can't do it immediately, you know, but write down the steps you got to take to get to the end result. When I wrote my plan down to get moved down here, it was a 2-year plan. I gave myself 2 years to get from here to living there. I did it in 11 months. April of 2020, I moved here in March of 2021. But by writing it down, it allowed me to create the plan to get down here. It involved a mind shift too of how could I leave the area that I was living in for 23 years? How could I sell the house that I raised 2 boys in for 23 years? I had developed roots there. How could I leave that and start in a place where I literally knew no one? People do it every day. Thousands, millions of people do it every day. Our ancestors did it. No matter who you are, you had ancestors probably. No matter who you are, you had ancestors that at one point in time lived elsewhere. And now you live wherever they came to, or maybe you live in a different spot. Okay? You got to have the mindset to be willing sometimes to make kind of drastic changes in a way. Could be if you're changing your housing or changing your job or selling your car, it's kind of a drastic change, right? But if you want to become wealthy, a successful investor, sometimes you got to make these big changes. Okay? So that being said, if you're still here, there will be an interview later today. I'll get it uploaded probably sometime tonight, possibly tomorrow morning, as long as the technology works okay and I can get it uploaded. And watch that interview. Watch all my interviews. I have a playlist, Interview with Others. You will hear some amazing stories from a variety of people. Watch them all. Learn from each person of what they've done in their life to better their own life. And as Millennial Mike says, copy and paste. Copy and paste. All right? So with that being said, have a great day. Maskey's signing out.